timber base. Good reason to go ahead on a non-system road, basically an unauthorized road that we don't actually, never designed for public use. It's just to harvest timber out of here. No more timber. So keep an eye on like this snag right here. We figured this is 1999. This is when we started figuring out, when if we contour this road, try to get this stuff green side up. You see that? So we just recontour. There's that snag right there. And so we're just trying to get basically brown side up. This is October, right? October 1, so that's a day later, or 21. Anyway, doesn't matter. This is all western needlegrass. We didn't have, you can't buy that seed. And so one of our techniques is to not seed. Just try to get things green side up, right? And so just a year later, 2 years later, you can't tell there's a road there. There's that snag right there. I got a little off on the photo point, but where's the road? That's all western needlegrass, which you can't buy. So that's another technique, is transplant what you got. Now, same technique if you have a spot in your lawn. Like, so you have native lawn, you got a bad spot, you took a building down, let's say that. You took an old shed down, and you got this bare spot out and all this good native vegetation. What I would do with that, clear it off, try to get it down, try to get some organic material on the soil. But what I would do is gather, go rake your lawn, go rake up, especially when after things have fallen, like in the seed, late summer when all the grass seed has fallen on the ground, rake up all that chaff and spread it like mulch out there. That is one of your best methods for revegetation native, using what's out there already. You've already got the seed mix. It's not only that, you're scraping up, scrape deep, try to get some root mass in there. That's fungi and the mycorrhiza in the soil. Get that native material and just rake all that into it and let that grow. You don't have to go out and buy a seed mix for that. Just use native. And that technique can go a long ways. You'd be amazed at what you can do even on a large scale project. So one of your best techniques, real simple, right? Keep it simple. Yeah, it works that way. These are all road beds. We started figuring out, hey, let's transplant material from the adjacent ground into the denuded road bed and make the road disappear. So that's what we're doing. It's just transplanting all the adjacent ground using native material and seeding very, very little. If we can get away without seeding, that's even better. So cover, getting more than 50% cover, up to 80%. Leaving about 20%, at least 20% exposed to the ground so you can get some sunlight to it and everything else. So these were all road beds at one point. Here's real typical what we do. If you notice, this is right after timber harvest. This is just recent. This is 2 years ago in a sale unit. We're done with this road. It's unauthorized. It's not designed for public use. It's just basically designed to harvest timber, silviculture use only. And so we're done with it. We recontour it, getting everything green side up. That's just a day later, or hours later. So we go through with a traco and basically design and blend into it. So I'm going to show you a lot of these. Before, just typical forest road, right? Afterwards, that's after we're done with the traco. And we got things, these are major transplants. These are 1 cubic yard bucket dug as deep as it can, grabbing the root system and putting it in, and it could be late July, and it won't matter. It won't matter if it lives or not. What matters is that you transplanted that live soil plug in there, and you've got a colony of microbes and fungi and everything else in that unit root bed. So that's our technique, is bringing in all the dead material. See this right here, all this material here? That stuff decomposes. Nutrient recycling, long-term nutrient recycling. It's really important to get the large and different size class too. So turn the road, see what's just harvested, time to get rid of the road, recontoured. Recontoured, full recontoured, lots of vegetation plugs. Now a lot of these plugs will die, but like I said, it doesn't matter, a lot of them will live. If we did this in October, every one of these will live. October is our best month. Unfortunately, not every month's October. So we have to, in order to get production, we have to do, we work throughout the summer. We start in May, late May, and we will go all the way through October 31st. Okay, so here's Bergdorf. This is up by Ruby Meadows. trailhead. One of these roads that maybe a logging road from a long time, or we used to create a road, went out, had a lot of erosion problems, but you see how thick it is out in the adjacent woods? We try to match the ground that we see. So that's just, you know, one day later. So just, we even like transplant a stump upside to make the road disappear. So these are before and afters. This was done just last year. This road particularly was, this road width alone was 25, almost 30 feet in places. And then when you recontour it from the top of the cut slope, which is up here, which is right up here, down to here, we're talking about 60 feet road distance. Now when you get that big, you got a problem, because you don't have enough material a lot of times. That's where the large bales come in. You see we have a large straw bale here of the wood straw, and then we have a three, they call it, a 3-string bale of ag straw, certified weed free. And so we mix those two, and we got that kind of cover on it. Because the wider it goes, the less access you have to material to cover, you have less cover. We're trying to shoot for 50% coverage. In this area, there's a stream right at the bottom. We're hoping to as much as 80% coverage. Because it's in a, what we call a riparian resource conservation area, RCA, we're trying to do, you know, a better job on erosion control, so you don't have to worry about sediment control. Anybody know the difference between the two? So erosion control stops erosion, right? Prevents erosion. But sediment control catches erosion. That simple. If you have really good erosion control, you don't need sediment control. And that's a really important point a lot of people miss. Why put your money into a silt fence when you can just cover it and not worry about erosion? And so silt fences and straw wattles are only there because you failed at erosion control or can't use erosion control. So
Did you regrade that slope? Looks like
recontoured.
Recontoured.
Yeah.
So
One machine.
some and put it over here.
Rip and flip. So what, I should show the whole point, but I'll get more. So this inside of the road was grubbed up with a big traco excavator,
Yeah.
and then he goes over and takes the material and just recontours right up to and matches the slope. So you can see how big this gets, and some of it gets really steep. This is a stream channel. So you see this culvert right here? So this is a major crossing right here. This is where we brought in Boy Scouts to actually come in later in the fall to do this. It's only a half mile away from the road, but it took a lot of effort to get plants back here there in the fall. We did this in the summer. Now here's where we need help with any kind of volunteer organization. We need to, and the Scouts are really enthusiastic, young people in general about this, and especially you have a young man that's organizing this project for his Eagle project. And anyway, we had 20 volunteers come out there in the fall, and we did this in a matter of 4 hours. It was awesome. But walking there was the hard part. Bringing the plants and the materials, even buy us all to the site. And these guys planted, it was awesome. I wish I had thrown some more pictures of it, but we rehabbed the site. In the fall, we did a lot of planting. We go back and plant these perennial channels with native vegetation. But again, before and afters, and lots of them. So you can see this old plantation right here. You know, we're pretty much done with this section. Now, the reason why this road was recontoured, you see how big this is, and we're talking about 60 feet or more right here. A lot of acres per square mile, per mile. We built a road, this is right along the stream channel, and we built a new road. This is out on the east fork of the Weezer, and so we build roads now more mid-slope than up the channel, and so we can get rid of these bottom roads and have a new road. The new road access is so much more than everything else. It wasn't that expensive, so this is why we get rid of some of these larger roads. So I can go all day long.
Do you guys plant trees?
Not so much.
Not so much?
We'd like to, but there's good recruitment. See the seed source here? We've got seed source. You know, so there's places that you don't have seed source. Maybe I'll show you a little later, like Thunder Mountain would be a good place. No seed sources out there. Although so big areas like that you have problems with. For the most part, a lot of natives come in here. A lot of good native growth. Shrubs are important. We go back and we really concentrate around stream channels, because that's where we want our riparian vegetation established quickly, so we can get recovery. We can speed up the recovery by planting and seeding and mulching. You know, we could just recontour and not do anything for weed veg. If we were on the Oregon coast, that'd be no problem. It'd just be full of alders. You know, the next day, they don't even. I brought this presentation over the Oregon coast to Humboldt State. Where's that? Eugene? Not Eugene, but Eureka, right?
Yeah.
The redwood forest was right there, and they do roads at $400,000 per mile because they're so massive roads. But they did nothing for revegetation. They don't have to worry about it, where we do. They don't even think, they didn't even thought about revegetation after roads are done, because everything just grows, you know, so fast, and everything's covered in just a half a year. So it depends.
Well, from working with, I used to work in natural regen, and by having those little open areas too, where you don't have vegetation, the pines will immediately
Yes.
start growing in there.
Right, especially like lodgepole country. You see how this is just a terrible culvert. This is real typical when culverts are in the size that they come out with the culvert outlet, they'll come out with a lot more energy and pressure, and they'll just scour out a big scour pool. That's why these things get this way. It wasn't designed this way, didn't look this way when they first put it in, but because the culvert doesn't meet the stream channel width, you get these scour holes like this. And so there'll be a great spot of fisheries. Matter of fact, there's all kinds of fish in this hole, but they can't go any further. And so what we did, this doesn't look it, but this actually is a design channel, and we went back and actually dug a little bit more of a thallway through here. But we took the culvert out, but now this pool is connected to upstream. Now those fish has connectivity for another mile or two of habitat. So that's important. So we talk about road closures. There's an entrance to a road, brushy ceanothus right there, Ceanothus velutinus, shiny leaf, and tons of that, right? You can walk through, you can hunt and everything else, but this is a road that's a system road that we want to use in the future. You can see there is actually timber here. And so these are designed for silviculture use only, not necessarily for public use. They were only designed for that. So what we do nowadays is just recontour the entrance, and this guy is, you drive right by this now. You'll never know there's a road back there. But there's actually miles of road back there. So you're not going to drive through that. You don't even know, the public's not even going to know what's back there a lot of times. So you can walk through it. You can take a horse through it sometimes. But you still, those roads are still available to hunt on and stuff like that. So that's a long-term closure. And with that, we take the infrastructure out. Make sure there's no culverts that are going to fail over time, because we're putting this in storage for 20 plus years, or even 10 years, or even 5 years. We'll put them in storage like this. But if we don't ever get back there to them, what will happen is that we have a roadbed, but we have a stable roadbed, and we have stream crossings that are free to flow and not wash out. So this is long-term road closures, or what I like to call road storage. And so lots of culverts. We had to deal with that. We pulled a lot of culverts. So you not only have culverts where stream channels are, but you also have insloped areas where they have a ditch and a relief culvert. So those places that have ditch lines, that's an infrastructure. You're altering the stream, the drainage pattern. So we'll outslope the road, fill in that ditch, pull that culvert. So, and then we'll leave a big dip there to make sure it's drained. But we still keep the road template more or less intact, other than at the stream crossings. And so these are our long-term closure techniques. Large pipes. This was actually a system road. That's an 8-foot pipe right there. We were 2 miles in, almost, not quite 2 miles, but a long ways in, away from a road that we can drive to. And he had to track in there on this old road and pull this whole culvert out. Unfortunately, this little John Deere 200 can't really wrestle this 8-foot pipe. We had to take it apart in 4 sections, and he had to drag it out of there in four pieces. So that's fun and challenging. I really like that kind of stuff. So here's a 48-inch pipe. What we really strive for is a surgical removal of these things. We have water flowing through there. See how clear that water is right there? Of course, you got the typical scour pool. This is why it doesn't pass fish, because the culvert was undersized to begin with. And so not to our engineering standard today. This is done, you know, just mere 25 years ago. So anyway, we'll divert the water, nice, keep it clean, line the channel, keeping it clean, keeping the water from, you know, turbidity, and then get the culvert high and dry, start moving the culvert. And then we rebuild the channel. We got, you know, the water flowing, keeping the water clean the whole time, and then we'll start rebuilding a new channel and divert it back into into our new channel, and then rehab the other side. So anyway, typical. So we have a couple places that you may recognize. There was a long history here. Of course, this is private land now, you know, but there's a section of forest right up here. We've done a lot of work in places. This was all for, you know, the history of mining for the stibnite was antimony, you know, and getting antimony from the site, the war effort. Gold was a byproduct, and then you know, in the later years it was low grade sulfides, the low grade cyanide leaching process and things like that. Multiple companies really looking forward to the future out there. You know, there's some interesting developments. The Thunder Mountain. This is Dewey Mine right below us. You guys ever been out there? Thunder Mountain. This is Thunder Mountain, top of Thunder Mountain. Right below it is the Dewey Mine, and it's more or less a moonscape in places. And that's going to be a challenge for reclamation. This is where you're not going to get the native recruitment. You know, you're going to need to plant trees and things like that. But first, you got to deal with soils. You got to have nutrient recycling. You have to have live soils. To do that, you're going to need organic matter. You got to cover it up with some sort of organic matter to get it to even build soil to grow things on. And so that's where we're at with things on a large scale. That's fun. See these two white areas right here, these sandy beaches along Middle Creek? This is the airstrip at Stibnite. You guys been out there at all? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the arsenic sites right here. This is where we had the highest concentrations of arsenic in the States, including bad places in Alaska and everywhere else. So this was a poison pit and everything else, but over time, there was a huge town of stibnite here. Anyway, these sites, nothing would grow on there. We would be walking through there, there's this big sterile site, and then we actually monitored and realized that it was all arsenic. And you see where the stream channel is going through? The channel's going right over that thing. And so we can't figure out why there's so much arsenic downstream in the east fork of the salmon, right? Spawning habitat for Chinook and everything. So anyway, we identified the arsenic sites, 3 big spots. And big project was to dig those out and put them in a repository up here in these tailing piles up above. And then build a new channel through that section, more with natural channel dimensions. And so here's the project. After the material was removed, the hot material was moved and dug and buried under a liner, because you can't practically haul that away to someplace. And we basically hauled it up in a stable place. And then build a new riparian. I think it was, how many acres? 19 acres of riparian that we had to build. Fortunately, you see how black dirt this is? Mm-hmm. You know, we actually had soil, topsoil to work with. And the channel was designed for more or less longitudinal profile and some profile and pattern. Not so much channel dimensions. Channel dimensions are just kind of a trapezoid at this point. But over time, it didn't. So you see, big project, multi-million-dollar project. My job was to revegetate it, which was a lot of fun. See all these little green things here? Mm-hmm. We used a stinger. It's basically an expandable stinger with rotary set. So this was, I said we did willow cuttings at Yellow Pine, or at Stibnite. We cut willows in the spring, in April, and took it to a nursery, had them grown in these 14-inch, this is a 14-inch root system. In one season they can get a nice big root stock. It's in a Vexar netting. We load these up with this big cylinder head. You see this thing? It can hold 50 plants, 50 of these plants, big ones, right? And you see these things right here? It looks like a big mandible on a plant. It'll go right through the rock. See how it's going right through the geotech closet, the jute matting, and right into the rock areas? It'll just lay it like an egg. It goes right down, these things will shoot